Hi, friends. Good morning. I have a dog playing with a puzzle toy down on the floor, so the noise might distract me a little bit. But I just wanted to talk about self oppression a little bit this morning. Kind of a really big topic, especially for being right in the morning for me. But I mean, I was thinking about it out of necessity and I'm grateful for the necessity in a way because it is helping me be in touch more with how to care for myself. So this morning when I was on a walk with the dogs that I'm house sitting for, I noticed that when I am out, I tend to have a lot of tension and anxiety and automatic anger towards myself. Just like feelings of anger, feelings of, just wanting to press the eject button. And this is pretty normal for me throughout my life. I didn't have it when I was homeless, like when I used to walk around everywhere outside. I didn't have it then, funnily enough, but I do have it when I'm actually like trying to be a part of society, so to speak. So, I was having, I was like, okay, I feel these sensations in my body. It's really overwhelming, but I'm here for myself. Let's see, let's follow it. So I went from these like really pained feelings of tension and just noticing the sensations. Like I care for you, Hannah. Like I'm so sorry for the pain that you're feeling. Let's figure it out. And also realizing that, at the same time, just because I feel really bad, it doesn't mean that anything is really bad. That is a narrative option, and a way to interpret things. So I was just like, okay, if I translate these feelings into thoughts, what would they be? And it would be, the things that were in my head were things like I look ugly. I look like I'm addicted to drugs. I look like I am out of control and like incapable and irresponsible and just all of these thoughts and feelings. And part of my mind was automatically trying to be like, no, CBT it around, spin it around, or just like say the opposite of those thoughts, which that's real too. But the other part of me was like, okay, this is like so strong emotionally. So what if I just am like, yeah, I am ugly. I am disabled. I am irresponsible. I am, what are the other things I was just saying? I am, the other things I was just saying. And what? And what that I am these things. It doesn't mean that because I am these things or somebody else is these things that they deserve to be punished, harmed, terrorized, tortured, any of the above. And then having that in my head, it made me literally feel lighter and be like, wow. So me healing isn't about me trying to be perfect all the time, be somebody that nobody can ever criticize, be somebody that I don't ever criticize or that like I don't ever disagree with. That's not the way that I heal. The way that I heal is like when I am feeling these normal, universal human emotions. That is when I have a different mindset I respond to myself differently and realize that I am, normally my response would be to be like, I have to automatically hate and shame myself, have this feeling of like antagonism and, you know, violence towards myself in order to appease other people, or in order to like empathize with other people and be like, I know, like I'm such a fuck up, I'm such a piece of shit, I wish I didn't exist either, like I'm sorry, like you know, it's that kind of like self-protective thing. And I think that, you know, this is a universal kind of human coping mechanism. Universal, I mean, like really common. I feel like most people experience it at some point of their lives. And, you know, they might experience it in different degrees, but I think it's really, really common. And unfortunately, it, you know, part of it is a survival thing. But once, you know, there has to be another option where maybe in survival situations we say to people what I just said. You know, we say to people like, in order to grant our survival and prevent people from harming us, we give them what we want. We say the verbal things of, you know, hating ourselves. But I think over time, I started to internalize that to where I started believing that I needed to actually feel and think that way towards myself in order to try to fix things or make things better, or, you know, make myself more streamlined, or make other people less, you know, controlling and punishing, because a lot of people, they are just looking for a sense of control. And I've experienced this too, where I've accidentally done this to my loved ones, not in a super like hardcore shaming like predator kind of way, but in a way where I have felt like automatic judgment towards people out of wanting my loved ones, out of wanting to control them. And to me, it feels like I am, I have this narrative that, you know, I'm keeping us safe, I'm looking out for us, I'm making sure that we're not easy targets. But really, I think it's more about me trying to direct my my anxious energy onto something that I feel like I can control. And I think it's really easy to accidentally enable people to be monsters and to be really overbearing and controlling under the guise of love or care. And, you know, I've been on both sides of the coin with that. So anyway, when I was, you know, on this walk, and thinking about the ways that normally I would feel like I have to assume this stance towards myself of hate and punishment and like trying to make me feel psychic or physical pain. I was just kind of like, oh, I have internalized the oppressor. Like I internalized those voices from other people, and in some ways it might protect me, maybe, kind of, sometimes, sort of, but ultimately I'm not under the thumb of any oppressive person anymore, and I'm not trying to live my life so that I'm a good fit to be oppressed under the thumb of somebody. Like that's not the match I'm looking for. Like so there needs to be like an entirely different way that I relate to myself, so that I can, because you know that echoes outwards into the relationships that I attract and the dynamics I automatically slip into with people, even just like random people on the street. Like that is an important part of my sense of self. When I'm just like walking down the street every day and I'm automatically imagining, I mean, I'm when we're imagining things or assuming what other people think and feel, especially strangers, so we're not going to know, like just people walking down the street, we're telling a story to ourselves anyway, so it might as well be a nice story that lets us not feel this constant sense of stress and oppression and like we are always hated. But my automatic thing is to walk down the street and assume that everybody I'm going past, that they are an oppressor. They are an oppressive, I was gonna say an oppressive person. That sounds like a Scientology thing, but assuming that somebody is wanting it, like assuming that everybody, like they are judging me, looking at all the negative things that could be gathered, and that they are wanting to use shame and punishment against me to control me, to make me better, or to just make me not a factor, to try to, yeah. So that's the thought process that I automatically have in my head when I'm just like walking around outside. Not all the time, but a lot of times, especially mornings like today, that sometimes, we just get more tired and are vulnerable to these thought patterns, these aspects of, you could say, relics of survival situations. So yeah, basically it helped me this morning a lot on the walk to be realizing that that okay, so I'm talking about like the vibration of the words here, right? So saying that like I am ugly, I am jagged, I am corrupt, I am anything that is like the frequency of it, anything that just is basically trying to say that I am like majorly grotesquely flawed in some kind of way that is supposed to be dangerous to myself or other people. Or that could have ties to that. Like I assume that I look like I'm on drugs because I am like walking around tired with these dogs out of control. Or I have this strong emotional feeling that they're out of control. They're not like literally dragging me, but they are. It feels very out of control. But I have their prong collars that I'm gonna be using because that's the only way to make things okay under the conditions I'm in. Like ideally, I would like it to be myself walking them one at a time and helping to desensitize them, or have two people on a walk so I'm not having to do them both at the same time. But yeah, so anyway, all of the thoughts and feelings that came out for me this morning, it was with the the assumptions that people around me are thinking and feeling really negative things about myself, and that I'm thinking and feeling those negative things about myself too, with that like internal oppressor, internal bully kind of person. That just made me or when I was able to say like and so what if I am these things, that helped me so much, just to know that, to remember like I have my back no matter what, truly. And no matter if other people, or sometimes that part of me in my head, no matter if they try to oppress me, try to bully me, try to manipulate and change me through shame, fear, punishment, harm, I just want to keep on getting back into the touch with that part of myself that is able to not automatically be projected into distorted thoughts and fear because of the situation I'm put in, but instead recognize the situation that I'm put in. Of having you could say I don't know, the evil, the colonizer, the oppressor, the violent, Satan, I mean Satan in a bad way, because there's always Satan in the liberating way, but all these things that kind of represent just evil, that whether those forces, they come to me through another person or through myself sometimes, I always want to remember that, just remember, I don't have to be in this increasingly tense, fearful, kind of reactive state, and that I can just be like, yeah, maybe I am those things. At least I'm kind of feeling that right way right now. And so what if I am? That it still doesn't mean that anybody who are those things, it whether they are or they aren't, nobody deserves to be harmed and punished and shamed, and like poked through suffering and pain in order to try to change them. Like that, yeah, that's a way of accomplishing a goal, but it's a really just haphazard, lots of negative side effects, suboptimal, just like ineffective way of accomplishing things. Like ideally, once you know better options, you won't do it anymore, because it just causes too much. It burns trust. It burns the ability to register everyday pleasure and safety. And it causes, addictions. It causes people to feel disconnected from themselves and others and their executive functioning, because they don't have a sense of what they want and what feels right and what lets them feel empowered and lets their strength shine. They just feel bullied by all the fear, which is coming from all directions, with people who have wildly different motives and intentions, and people become lost and separated from their own sense of self direction, especially if you've internalized these voices. And that's all a part of, the way that the system is kind of designed, or it could be interpreted to be designed in this way. I don't think it is actually advantageous for the system, but it, under lack of better knowledge, it can appear to be advantageous for, like, the capitalistic system, just the system of survival, the system to try to organize people into groups and get people to work together to accomplish tasks of civilization. There's much better options, but anyway, yeah, those are just the things that I'm thinking about this morning, and it's helping me to internalize more of the thoughts and emotions that I felt by talking about this out loud. And I hope it's helpful in some kind of way. Yeah, take care. Bye.